Hello everyone, welcome to the first channel of geometrymath.com. Today we will be starting at geometry number 1, lesson number 1, points, lines, and planes. This is the basics of geometry. A point, as you guys might have known, is just a random point on a random line or a plane. Like this point. We'll make a line, and we can call it point A. Once we make the line, sorry for this mess. Just pretend that's a line, and then we can make our own point, which we'll call, let's change the color to brown or something like that after. And we can call it point A. A. Okay? So, this is what a point. A point is just a random dot with location, but no size or shape. Well, right now you can see it's pretty bigger than the line just to make it noticeable, but has no size or shape. Just random location, like let's say right over here. This is a point. That's a random point on a random line, or right now it's a random plane. Next we have our line. A line. A line is just something with thickness, something with a length, but with made up a bunch of points. So like we can call, let's use blue, or yeah, and then we'll go back to here, and then we can use pink. We'll call this point A, and this point B. So this line is made up of 2 points, A and B. We'll call this a line. So we can call this really just line A, B. And because it does not go on forever, you'll tell if it goes on forever. For instance, like when you have something like this, which is an actual line. This is a line segment right here. So we'll just put this is a line segment. We'll just put this here. But most of the times in geometry, you'll only have like lines, and they'll call it line segments, and they'll call it lines. So just remember, this is a line segment, and a line is something that goes on forever. Array, however, is something that goes on forever, but in one direction. So it's gonna go forever in this direction, but let's use light blue. We have our point here. This is the beginning of point of the array, so we'll call this A. Let's use orange. A. And then we can make another point somewhere random, and we'll call it point B. So this would be ray. Many times they'll call it lines again, but you can always tell that it's a ray because it will say A, B, and since it's going in forever in the direction of point B, we'll just put a arrow through this way. So you can always just tell by looking at this. Okay? Alright, so let's get rid of, no, not that. Let's get rid of just all of this. Bye-bye. Cut this out. And this out. Alright. Now the final part of this, the final part of the very basics, and that's what the foundation of geometry is our brilliant, let's make it green. We'll call this a plane. A plane is something made up of 3 or more lines. Right now you see it's made up of 4 lines. Well, let me explain how. Yeah, let's just use the red. Okay, now we'll make a method so we can make our points. We can call this point A, point B, point C, and point D. Alright, and now from all of this, we can have line. This really line AB. We have line AB. It's a line segment, but we'll just call it line BC. Now this is not an everlasting plane, as you can clearly see it as boundaries. It's made by these points or lines, CD and AD. These are the lines that make up. Now we're gonna call this plane, but really it's quadrilateral, or a plane can be a quadrilateral. So we'll make it with the square A, B, C, and D. Okay, so this is a plane. Plane A, B, C, D. Now, oops, what have I done? Resize it. Let's just undo it. Simple as that. Yeah, exactly. Now we'll just select this, then we'll cut this out. I'm not gonna do anything else this time. Okay, now we're gonna talk about some points on a line. Okay, so let's get a huge line. This humongous line, as you can clearly see, it's pretty long. We're gonna make this out of a bunch of points. So let's use a brush and get red out or black. Let's use red. Okay, be able to make a bunch of points. And then we're gonna label them. In geometry, you'll always need to label your points. Because if you don't label your points, you're not gonna be able to figure out what is which. You're just gonna have to. If you make a diagram, and geometry is all about shapes, you're gonna need to label your stuff. That way you can like describe its length, its width, any of its properties. To do that, you have to label it. Okay? Now I'm just gonna use this because you can tell it's kind of hard to draw. Okay, I'm just gonna make this super long and we'll make it a bit smaller. Let's go 16. Okay, now we can have this being point A, or let's make it black. A, point B, point C, point D, point E, point F, point G, point H, and then our famous point I. Well, it's not famous, but it's the last one. Now these are all points. We have point A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Now, these all have a special property. The property is, let me just explain it right here. Collinear. Collinear. Now, this means that points, collinear points, let's do this, collinear points are points that are on the same line. I don't know why I used up so much space. It should be this right here. And let me just move this closer to the lines. Then we made a huge line. Collinear points. These are all collinear. So we can also write that points A. Remember, you have to call each one individuals because they're not like a point EF. That would be a line. point E, F, because remember, a line is made up of multiple points, but a point isn't made up of anything. And I are collinear because they're on the same line. They're on line. Because there's so many dots, we'll just call the last two on AI, on line AI. And no, this is not like your famous AI. This is just not your famous artificial intelligence. This is just a line. Okay, these are all collinear points. So I'm just gonna move this. I'm gonna get rid of this for now. And now we're gonna talk about something else. I'm gonna make humongous, which you should tell. This, our famous plane of all time. Now I bet you're thinking of, if there's a line, there's a plane. Exactly. So let's just label stuff using, I need a new color, but you can call this something. We can make a random line right here. We can make something random here, something here like this, here, and then obviously here. Now, let's put random points inside, like this, and then we'll have something connecting them. Or some will just be individual, some will be connected. I'll show you an example. Now let's connect a few of them together. Use pink. We can connect this and this together, and we can connect this together, and then let everything else just be individuals. Okay, so I'm just gonna explain to you what we can label them. Let's label them now. Oops, that's pretty big. Let's make it this small. B. Oh, let's use black again. Black will make it better. Oops, it just changed to automatic pink for some reason. Okay, B. Point B, right here. A famous point B. Oops. I'm just gonna select this and then keep on copying and pasting it. This is point B. Let's paste it. Oops. Let's undo this. Sorry. Let me select this once more and then copy it. We can paste it again right over here. And change the name to point A. Can you change this name? It's a big question. Or not. Okay, you can. So this is just stupid. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Now I'm gonna make this humongous thing so that it's easier for us to keep in track, and we can do this quicker. A, B, we'll call this C points. And then, yeah, 2 at the points, and then we can make another point right here. Point D, and then point E. Okay, now let's get another point. All the way right here, we can have a bunch of points. We can have G point. And then we can have our point I. We'll call this point I. So, just to make it easier for us, that way we can call this point H. Point H. Okay? And then, well, you kind of get the idea. I'm just gonna draw this now. So, it doesn't waste too much time. J. Sorry for my handwriting. K and L. Now, I have to say a new definition, which is called coplanar. Coplanar points or lines, because these can be both coplanar. These can be both lines or points, actually. Points or lines that lie on the the same plane. That's their definition. And if you can see, almost all of these, well, let's just make a new point up. We'll need it. Almost all of these points are coplanar. If you can tell, the one that's not coplanar is just the one that I just drew. This is not coplanar. Not coplanar. Yet the rest of these are, including line L and K, right here, C and D, and point E, G, H, I. But they're not all collinear, because point E isn't collinear to anything. Point G and H are collinear. Point L is collinear to B and I and K, but it's not collinear to A or J. J is collinear to K, A, and I, but it's not collinear to D. And D is only collinear to C. So they can all be coplanar, but not collinear. Okay? Just remember that. They can all be coplanar, but that doesn't mean they have to be collinear. Now, there's one final thing we have to talk about today, and we'll be done for the day. This is something which will lead on to all our most advanced geometry. I'll just draw something like this. A square. It doesn't have to be a square, but let's just call it a square. Now we have to change the color. We can have this random line on this random plane, and then another line, slide right here, which intersects it. Okay? And then we need points, obviously. Just gonna make it like this so we can start the points. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller, I'm sorry, but it was only to help us. A, B, C, and D. Now, I'm just gonna, no, I'm not going to. Okay, so, I have some lines. Okay, lines, I'm gonna make this a bit bigger text for you guys to see. Lines AD and BC intersect each other. Okay, intersection just means that they intersection just means that they like like they cross out each other, like they go between one and another, like BC goes through A and D, right? So this is something length, if this is something length, that's all going to be introduced in later geometry, and especially when using triangles. Like, you're going to have to find out what the area of AB is, but, AB, and this is line E, dot E, let's make it E, let's just write E. E is pretty cool. E, right? This is E. So, you're going to have to find the area of ABE, but that's all later. Well, congratulations, guys. You've done geometry number 1, points, lines, and planes. The next lesson would be over angles and lines, just like the more advanced lines, and we'll talk about angles. Not too advanced, but just like our basic, what an angle means, and some of its properties that will be especially useful. Okay?